Hello, Rough Rider Nation, and welcome to this edition of the Rider Report, the ins and outs of Yavapai College athletics. I'm Brad Clifford. I'm the athletic director here at Yavapai College, and I'm rejoined today by Ryan Cougill, our head baseball coach. Ryan, welcome back to the program. Good to have you.
Good to be back.
Well, let's talk about the season. We're more than halfway through, and we're in a playoff hunt here. We're 24-18. We're 10-12 in ACC/AC play. There seems to be a lot of parity in the conference. We're within striking distance still. So what is going to take here the remainder of the season? I mean, we've got, 8, I think, doubleheaders remaining to get back into the playoffs and possibly host playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity. Every time you look at a box score, it seems like somebody shifts 2 spots in the standings. Good conference again, equal conference again. Like I said in preseason Rider Report, there is no weekend or weekday that you look at a doubleheader and go, there's 2 guaranteed wins. So on the other hand, we should look at games that way. So I think what it's going to take, it's a tough one to answer, but we've got to start playing our best baseball. We're too inconsistent, although we're probably only 2 or 3 games back from where I thought we would be with the tough opening schedule, going to Douglas, to Thatcher, to Yuma, to South.
Right.
So realistically, and it's not a knock on our team or anything, I thought we would, we talked about taking lumps early. I thought we would be 2 or 3 games better than where we are, which is right around 500. So improve the inconsistencies. Offense, defense, pitching, those 3 areas. If one area is lacking, then somebody, step up and do better in their area, or do better in all 3 areas.
Right, and this is, I hope that people know, this is a tough conference. This is a conference that any top 5, 6, 7, 8 teams can win a national championship, or get to a national championship at least. We've got to go through our conference, then go through a tough district, and then go to the World Series. This is as tough conference in the country there is.
It is. We said last year that I thought 3 or 4 teams out of our Division I conference race were certainly be in our shoes at June, whatever it was, when we beat San Jack, and that's not fake compliments or anything like that. Yeah. It's also not an excuse to say we're a 500 team because it's a good conference, because we're a good team.
Right.
We just got to start playing our best baseball, and I think that is our process. It's not about a conference championship, a national championship, although it is, it's not. It's about a process. It's about playing your best baseball when it matters most, and it's starting to matter, so we need to start playing our best baseball.
Right. Well, your starting pitch has been solid for you. Jake Coulterman, he's been good on the mound, has a 5-0 record, 33 strikeouts and 2.11 ERA. Rez has been putting some great numbers up as a starting pitcher. Zach's had a couple of nice outings, and you had some good middle relief with Hayden there in the last couple of games. What are your thoughts about your pitching?
I think Jake's won 16 games now in a year and a half. Workhorse, always going to give you a chance to win, even when he doesn't have his best stuff. Reza, coming off his injury with the Tommy John, he is better earlier than I thought he would be. And again, not a knock on him. That's a tough injury. He's worked his butt off along with Coach Dawson, and he gets better every time out. So those are 2 really bright spots in our pitching staff. You look forward to those 2 guys going out and competing, because that competition, that mindset is infectious. Avery, Zach Peterson, both have had good starts. Both have been inconsistent. So they've got to improve their consistency, kind of what we talked about before. Hayden and Andrew out of the bullpen. Both have been good. Both have been inconsistent at times. So it's, beating a dead horse, but it's all about just improving the consistency. And I think when you got a playoff race or this parity in a conference, the last man standing is usually the most consistent.
Right. Makes sense. Any sport we talk about, that's the key. We're leading the ACC/AC in batting at 315. How do you improve on that? What do we need to do offensively?
Well, I'm going to say the same thing. It's that's great on paper, but are you doing it when it matters? Number one, are you doing it against good pitching? Because you got to do it against good pitching. You've got some hitters that have really overachieved. Again, not to knock them, but they've done a really good job. You got some hitters that need to I think, get to a point where, hey, let's just forget the stats and let's go out and find a way to win a game. And if that means grounding out to second base to score a run, that to me is Yavapai baseball. That's unselfish quality at bats. So I don't know if you improve necessarily a statistical figure, but you can improve the process and improve the outcomes through that offense for sure.
Makes sense, makes sense. Jedediah Fagg's one of those hitters that is hitting very well. Second in the league in average with a .416 clip. Dylan Enweiler is playing all around good ball. He's top 10 in runs scored, stolen bases, and home runs. Who else has stood out for you offensively?
Well, when Dylan goes, we go, and that's the biggest thing. Because he gets on base and he wreaks havoc and makes other hitters around him better because he's on base. Jed's been the most consistent guy, just drop dead consistent. So that's something that, optimistically we're happy with because we talk about consistency. To answer your question, Corey Wills. We've shifted him around 1, 4, 9. And wherever he goes, he's just like, hey, whatever, man, I'm just going to put a good swing on it.
Right.
He's played a great center field. He has some intangibles with the makeup and with the foot speed and things like that. But he's improved his left-handed hitting off of left-handed pitching. So Corey's done a great job.
Yeah.
And there's some guys that I think go unnoticed from a standpoint of stats. It's a lot of situational hitting and things like that. Jed's done a great job with that. And I think him being elderly man on campus now, waiting behind Brock last year, who put up godly numbers.
Right.
It's his turn, and he's done the best with it.
He's done a fantastic job. All right, we talked about recruiting as a never-ending process. We know it is in collegiate athletics. How's that going for you?
Yeah, it's never-ending. As soon as I say it's good, it'll be too good and it'll be bad. So I suppose we'll know exactly where our recruiting class stands as that draft approaches. The kickbacks from four-year schools seem to be numerous now with the fact that four-year schools are recruiting so early, recruiting sophomores in high school, and for whatever reason, a lot of players kick back to junior college. You see that. I think there were 35 of them last year. And we've had success with that area. Ramsey Romano last year coming in as a transfer, Turtle, Cougill,
yeah.
So some of the Chase Beal, a lot of those things really make or break your recruiting class. But the biggest thing is just maintaining relationships. I think 9 of our 11 kids right now are in-state kids. And that's something I really like because now you've got the expectations of Yavapai baseball. It's known. You don't have to learn it. Those kids are unbelievably excited to be a part of that.
Well, and Arizona baseball is pretty good baseball across the country. I think that's well known.
Well, kids from Perry, kids from Hamilton, kids from Chaparral, these are teams that continuously are towards the top of their league, top of their state division. And I think that all starts from mom and dad. That also continues through high school programs. Losing's not okay, and what do we got to do to win games?
Right.
And that's something we want to bring into our program.
I'm going to go off script here a little bit. Let's talk about maybe people don't understand, and Rough Rider Nation needs to understand, is that the recruiting process for baseball is particularly tough because you do lose kids to draft. Yeah. You do lose kids to four-year schools. And so we're recruiting well into August, well into September. As a matter of fact, we're recruiting into January to replace some people that are perhaps left after semester.
Yeah, it's pretty dynamic. It's pretty interesting to follow and watch. You get picked at from both ends almost. You get picked at from Major League Baseball, professional baseball. You also get picked at from four-year schools who may lose a player and want to come down. Gavin Johns, good example, leaves to UCLA. Thrilled for him, but man, that's a guy we'd like to have in the lineup as a sophomore.
For sure.
And we knew that, and it's not a surprise necessarily, so you plan for it. You also don't want to over-recruit because you don't want to be in a situation where you've gotten yourself into, we really want to bring in 30 kids, and now we've got 36 kids coming in, and there's false promises, and that's not what we want to be about. So it's challenging, but it's an excitement. But I think at the same time, if you don't want that, coach at a four-year school or coach at a different level because junior college baseball, that's what you got.
Right. You're a master puzzle put together person.
I don't know about master, but we are a puzzle. Yeah, absolutely.
You've had some players signed to go on to the next level already. We had the signing date in November. What can you tell us where some of these kids are headed?
So Jonathan Villa, our catcher, along with Jake Colterman, we talked about, will both go to Faulkner State down in Alabama, which is where Alexis Cruz and Austin Paschke were. Good program. I think they were top in the country last time I checked, which was a couple weeks ago.
That's great.
Good program. Obviously, Avery Weems going to Arizona. Andrew Gross will go to Texas Arlington down there. They're real excited about him. They came out and watched him last week. And then recently, Dallas Tesser and Dylan Inweiler will both go to North Carolina, which is it's almost crazy to think that two middle infielders are going to go play two middle infield spots in an ACC program, which is a perennial College World Series team.
Big-time team,
Dylan, I think they've got kind of this broad spectrum of where he's going to play and what he's going to do because he is so versatile. So whether he's at second or center or wherever, he probably plays 7 positions. But we're excited for them and his family and all their families.
Fantastic. That's great. Great for the Rough Rider tradition to carry on at the four-year school. Baseball is in the midst of a playoff run. Come and support the Rough Riders. Let's go through the schedule. They'll be at Rough Rider Park on Saturday, April 15th against league leader South Mountain Community College. Good team. Saturday, April 22nd against the second-place team, Cochise College. Tuesday, April 25th against fellow Division I nemesis Arizona Western College, and then Saturday, April 29th in the regular season finale against Eastern Arizona College. So, Coach, it's good to have you here. Thank you for being here. This concludes this edition of the Rough Rider Report. Remember to follow us on www.goroughriders.com. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and above all else, go Rough Riders.